Thank you very much for inviting us to participate in this online meeting. And as you mentioned in your introduction, this meeting was supposed to take place in Barcelona. So I really wished to welcome all of you here in this beautiful city, and I hope we will be able to do that in the future. But if everything goes well, I'm sure we will meet again in September in Morocco, as far as I understand. I want also to salute the work that ANIMA has been doing throughout the years. I mean, in terms of promoting investment in the region and investment networks, in terms of trying to help local authority and investment authority in terms of attracting investment. Is to say that even before the crisis that we are facing today with the COVID-19, the whole idea of impact investment was already shaping up because we all came to the conclusion a few years ago that investing in climate change adaptation and mitigation, investing in renewable energies, investing in all area of sustainable and human development cannot be carried only by national governments or regional authorities, and there is a huge gap in terms of capital if we only rely on public funding. Not only that, but we came also to the conclusion that those field of activities and in terms of investment have a good return on investment, generally speaking. I recall here an example given to me by a private equity fund in New York, where they invested in São Paulo, Brazil, a few years back in a project changing the lighting system of the city of São Paulo from the traditional bulbs to the new LED bulbs, and the project led to 60 to 65 decrease in consumption of electricity in that city, with all the beneficial impact economically and in terms of warming in the city. But also the company that invested made a return on investment that was over 14%. So we're not talking about impact investment in the void. It is proven in so many cases that investment that are compatible with the SDGs are also investments that could have a greater return in terms of to profit those who invest in this type of projects. Today, when we are facing the challenge of economic recovery post-pandemic, we're facing two problems. One is that the public funds that were available before the crisis will probably not be as ready and as available after the crisis, because our governments, even international financial institutions, lending and development agency might have less resources to lend or invest, generally speaking. So the private sector role is becoming much more important in that regard, because we will have definitely a gap between the capacity of public funds to engage in this type of projects. So an increased effort from our side, by our side I mean ANIMA, Union for the Mediterranean, the European Union, and other partners, and also all of you participants from different investment promotion agency in framing, designing, identifying projects that are investment worthy, and promoting them at large within the investment community. The second challenge we're facing is that we all, I think, we all agree that the recovery, the post-pandemic recovery, has to be in line with our SDG goals, and especially in terms of climate change and the need to continue and even increase our effort in terms of climate, of mitigating and adapting to the effect of climate change. I don't want to recall the study that we have helped a group of scientists, which is called MEDEC, with the help of the United Nations Environmental Program and other partners, which has clearly demonstrated that our region is warming 20% faster than any other region in the world. That 10 of the out of the 20 most affected cities in the world by climate change are Mediterranean cities, and so many other statistics in terms of availability of fresh water in a region that is, as we speak, extremely water poor, and the stress of the pandemic on our water resources, but that's another subject. So our recovery has to take into account the need to have a growth, inshallah, that comes after the crisis, that is a growth in a sustainable way, and while dealing with some of the challenge of climate change and others. So I think the health of our planet is related to our health, and if we deal with the crisis and the implication of the crisis, taking into consideration the health of the planet, then again impact investment becomes a very, very important tool, and what you're doing today and the next few days is very important in terms of disseminating the importance of the subject, and also mobilizing your partner to go in that direction. I will just end my introductory remark by referring to a project that we are engaged in, which could be actually a good example to follow, and will be more than happy to share with you some of the details of that project. We are partnering with a private foundation led by Arnold Schwarzenegger in America, R20. Some of you, I'm sure, are familiar with. R20 stands for Region 20, to create an impact investment fund that could go as far as 750 million euros. We're starting with 250, and GCF has been extremely forthcoming, and they were willing to put the seed money in that fund. And we already identified the project manager, which is a company called Pegasus. And this will be the first impact, not the first, I'm exaggerating, will be an impact investment private equity fund that will help finance projects in the Mediterranean and beyond in the area of climate change and environmental issues. This is the line we've been taking for the last couple of years. but I feel that with the help of ANIMA and other sister organization, and with the 2 successful projects already who are labeled actually by the UfM, which is EMIPO and EDILE, EDILE. Those type of projects could serve as an example of what we can do again and again in terms of attracting private capital into impact investment in area that are in line with our sustainable development goals. Maybe I went a bit too long, but this subject is very close to my heart. I think it's the way forward, and I think with the crisis, it becomes much more relevant and much more urgent. Thank you very much again for having me. Je vous remercie infiniment de m'avoir invité et je suivrai avec énormément d'attention vos discussions. I have my colleagues from the UfM following the conference. We have also our colleague from GIZ who are working in close cooperation with us, who are following this discussion. And we will carry on your recommendation, your ideas, and try to share them with our member states and also promote them as much as we can. Have a successful meeting, and thank you very much for having me today.